What's going on, everybody? Eternal Red Gamer here, and guess what we're doing today? So I have decided, as part of the speedrunning community and part of the gravity circuit community, that I wanted to do a tutorial on some speedrun stuff for this game. So I'm actually pretty excited to do this, so I apologize in advance if I don't know what I'm talking about. Just kidding. So today and for other days, we are going to be going over different tips, techniques, strategies, movement, bosses, advanced techniques, some other cool stuff that you can do, so I can, showcase with you guys what this game is all about. And if you want to start speedrunning, it's a great game to get into. In my opinion, it's my game of the year based on any titles that I've played this year. I think the platforming is amazing. I think the game controls are really tight. And it's just a really fun game that has a lot of inspiration from games of the past, highly notably Mega Man X. So what we're going to do today in this video is we're going to go over some basic movement, we're going to go over the intro stage, and I'm going to show you a few things that you can do in the game. And then as you play through the game, you're going to get familiar with the platforming, you're going to create your own speedrunning style, and then when you go into the advanced techniques, you're going to go down to specifically what you want to do and how you want to navigate through the levels. So without further ado, let's get into the first stage. Alright, real quick before we jump in, let me see how many hours I put into this game. Too many! 261.5 hours. Can you tell I love this game? I love this game. Alright, let's get into it. Nope, wrong screen. We're not going to use that layout. We're going to use this one. You're going to see a little bit of my face, but mainly the gameplay screen. Okay. Gravity circuit. Alright, so for these tutorials, we're actually going to do speedrun mode. So speedrun mode is amazing, and the devs, shout out to them, and we appreciate you very much. The fact that you can skip you skip all dialogue, you skip certain cutscenes. The fact that you can do that actually saves you about 14 to 16 minutes, maybe slightly more, in-game real time. So for those that want to speedrun this game, the fact that you actually can restart almost immediately after a gameplay and save 20 minutes is amazing. Alright, excuse me. Alright, so here's the first stage. So a couple things you'll notice right away. You have your health bar in the top left corner. You have your energy bar, which you start out with 2, right? And max means full energy. So you have certain attacks in the start menu. So at the very beginning of the game, you actually don't have anything. And then you run into a character, Niga, in the game, and you actually get Flying Strike, which is a horizontal burst attack. And as you notice, my max meter in the top left corner is now 0. So every time you hit an enemy, when you have a certain ability, which you get after the first stage, I might add, you actually will be able to refill that. So movement's pretty good. So actually, when you start the game, you actually start. This is your normal speed. So you actually hold a button down to run. Now there is there is a menu in the game where you can actually change up that. So I don't even remember where it's at.
A few moments later.
Okay. All right. So ideally, you'll want to run the entire time. Like the fact that you're walking in slow mo, it doesn't matter. You're almost never going to do it. So you can actually go to the controls. And then towards the bottom, you don't actually know it's there until you scroll all the way down. You'll see run button behavior inverse. That essentially means instead of holding down the button to run, it automatically has you run, and then you hold it down to walk. Command run is disabled. It says double tap to start running or stop running. I don't do that. Rapid fire is nice because you can hold the attack button down and you'll constantly be punching rather than mashing it for every single individual punch you want to do. So that's really good. Another thing that you'll actually want to do as well when you start getting into speedruns, I would recommend highly to turn the on-screen timer on and put it for level and total. So in the bottom left corner, you'll see 2 different timers. The top one is your overall in-game time. And the bottom one is your level time, so the individual level. So watch, if I restart from the beginning of the level, it's actually going to reset that bottom timer to 0. This allows you to test out how fast you want to go through a level, where you want to, practice doing a first part of the stage, and then you can say, okay, I've gotten this far, it's about 10 seconds, let me restart and do that. So that's real nice. So of course you have your jumping ability. So this is, again, you hold down the punch button, and then you're auto attacking, which is nice. You have a dive kick, so if you hold down and the directional button while you're in the middle air, you'll do a dive kick either straight down or forwards in the direction you want to go. If you hold down and press the jump button, you have a slide, and you can actually mash this to get certain distances and fast speeds there. You will also have a hook shot. So hook shot is omnidirectional depending on where you're pointing it. This allows you to not only hook to walls and ceilings, but allows you to hit items. You can actually use this to attack enemies. You'll actually use this when an enemy has low health to actually grab an enemy. So there's different properties that you have for grabbing, but we're gonna showcase that a little bit later. So in addition to just normal punching attacks, you can actually do an up attack, which will do a kick, and then in the air you actually have this kind of reverse somersault move. So eventually, when you do enough damage to an enemy, they will turn gray like this. That means they're in a weakened state and they are grappleable, if that's a word. Now you can grapple an enemy right before they hit a gray state, but this actually means that they will no longer attack you at all. So this enemy actually has a shield, for example, so watch. So I can actually continue to hit him to do some more damage, and when they're in red, they're in overkill. You can't grab them, you can't do any additional damage to them. Well, let me rephrase. In some instances, you can grab them, but those are heavier enemies in specific. These little box crates, you can break, and they will drop currency, which is the money right here. And sometimes they will actually drop health packs, and it's randomized as well. So one thing that you probably just noticed is that enemies respawn after a certain amount of time. So ideally, when you collect all the pickups and then you leave a particular area and go off screen, they will respawn. These little orange little circles right there, that refills your burst meter or your energy meter. And it slowly goes up, and then that right there was a health pack. So yeah, box crates that stand in your way, so you're gonna attack them. So here's where a lot of the gameplay will come in that will have movement. So you can actually grapple onto a ceiling, and then if you're not pressing anything, you'll just go stationary in the middle. But if you actually swing left and right, you'll swing. So you actually will let go, or you can actually jump. And once you get the hang of it, you'll actually see I'm not high enough. You actually let go of the button and re-grapple to swing. And this is where a lot of your movement's going to come into play in a lot of these levels. When you get into speedrunning, you're actually going to be so good that you're just going to end up flying through stages. Now you could also ascend the grapple and descend to a certain depth. So that's pretty much the basic movement of the entire game. So this right here is a checkpoint. As you see, there's a number next to it. So you actually will have to use and spend some currency to repair yourself. So you will get max health and max energy when you go to a repair center. When you are maxed out, you cannot refill. But it is a checkpoint, so you don't actually have to jump on it. You can actually just hover over it. So as you're playing through the intro stage, you'll see gaps in the ground. They'll give you some spots to jump over. They'll give you a few different areas to grapple. So essentially it shows you the basic mechanics of the game to get through the regular level. So essentially you can down kick in high areas to traverse lower faster. Of course you have your slide. You free fall pretty quickly, which is nice. There also is an ability where you can free fall slowly. So we're just going to go through. There's a bunch of enemies here. So you just beat them up, slide through. Another thing we have not talked about is actually you can wall climb. So when you're holding the direction towards the wall, you're just going to naturally slide down. Kai, who's the main character of this game, will do that automatically. If you're on the corner of an edge, he will actually hang there and not descend, which is really nice. You can actually just press down to descend there, and you can actually jump away from it. So fun fact, when you're actually wall climbing, you'll notice you have a certain speed and trajectory. right, going up. But if you're actually hanging off a cliff, when you jump, he throws his whole momentum upward, and you actually will launch yourself faster and farther when you're ascending over the cliff or edge versus if you are doing it from the side here. So you notice, I'm not getting the same distance or height. But when you're hitting the ledge and then you jump, you actually will go farther. And then you can combo this with dive kicks in certain areas. And that's nice too. So you also have breakable walls in the game. It takes one hit. It could be just a punch. It could be a kick. It can be a grapple move. So again, I'm not going to touch this. I'm going to go over the checkpoint and it automatically checkpoint. So if you die, you'll go back to the checkpoint. If you reload the last checkpoint, you'll go back to the checkpoint. So that's pretty much it. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to show you a few different things. So when you're doing your first playthrough, well, let me back up. When you're speedrunning this game, I recommend go through the entire game. Play through it like you would on a casual playthrough. And go through the game, get familiar with the game, have fun with the game, beat the game, try to get all the abilities. You could try to get all the hidden HP and energy upgrades. So here, watch it. So I'm gonna die, and you'll see the can't die when you can't die when you're invulnerable. And then here's your death animation screen. Also, one thing to note is when you get hit, you are invulnerable for a couple seconds, which means you cannot take any additional damage while you're hit. Another thing to note is after you restart at a checkpoint, you have 0 energy, but you can spend some money, and then you can get max energy. And then all the boxes reset. You'll get a little bit money. You get slightly less than sometimes, but it's also random. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go through the rest of the level here. Canisters or boxes take 4 hits, but fun fact, if you actually you saw that a little bit there, you actually can throw an enemy into a box and it will automatically break. That's what swinging looks like. And if you burst, particularly this first burst, Flying Strike, when you burst, you actually get not unlimited, I'm sorry, it breaks it in 1 hit. So this is the first boss. It's a nice big energy tank. So ideally when you're first doing it, it can be really tough because of the fact that, you don't know what he's going to do. Bosses all have 2 full health bars, so they have a full health bar that goes green, and then once you get them down to 0, you have the secondary health bar, which is, orange. Kai will eventually get to 2 bars of health if you beat him, or not when you beat him, I'm sorry. 2 bars of health when you find all the health upgrades, and we'll have 6 bars of energy when you get all the energy upgrades. As you can see, I suck at this game. It took me 7 minutes to beat it. And then you have your mission complete. Again, this is speedrun mode, so you don't see any of the dialogue between the characters. I would recommend leave speedrun mode off so you actually can enjoy the story. So when you complete a mission, mission will always say 100%. It'll have your clear time, how many enemies you defeated, and then parentheses is how many times, how much, you know what? Why am I blanking out? 14 out of 20. Okay, I'm sorry. In the parentheses, that's the minimum number you have to kill in enemies in order to have a higher rank or grade to get more currency. And then damage taken, the lower the damage you take, the more currency you get. So on the right hand side, you see 1,000, 50, 250, 250. That is your currency that you obtain for clearing the level. So when you're actually looking to do upgrades and stuff, that's actually important. You can actually replay any level after you beat it, because you can actually go back and then just spam level completion to earn more currency to allow you to buy more things. So this in here is a few extra rooms. I'm not going to spoil any of that stuff here. You also do get data chips throughout the game, so you can see enemies. Right here, this is the nurse. The nurse will actually give you upgrades. So there are people, robots, androids that you rescue, and then the more you rescue, you actually use them to unlock abilities. These ones are actually enhancement chip abilities. And what she dropped was a data chip. That's Colonel. He's in charge of HQ here. I'll just nope, can't go in there. So part of the storyline is this is the character that gives you the first move. Now he teaches you the burst technique. So you actually just have to spend currency to buy these techniques. So there are, I think, 20 techniques in total outside of the one, actually no, including Flying Strike. So there's a few techniques that you get throughout the game, but we're not going to go over that right just yet. And then the nurse comes in here, and that's just, you know, a recovery sector. Also, something they added in the most recent update outside of speedrun mode is the training area. So what you can do here is, well, there's a couple of different ways to get up here. So you're in Guardian HQ, so this is essentially your hideout because all the robots are taking over. So this is a training dummy. So this is actually really nice thing that they added, because when you're fighting bosses, with the exception of the first boss and the very last boss, there's a certain state of invulnerability. Well, including the last boss, actually. It's a little bit scaled differently. So you can see this dummy has 1 health bar, and of course, when you do a certain amount of attacks in succession, you're building up this limit bar that it says essentially is the invulnerability bar. So if you hit a boss fast enough, or if you do repeated burst moves back to back, depending on the same burst, they'll go into an invulnerable state where you won't be able to attack him anymore, and you won't be able to do any more damage until he recovers. So essentially, when you're fighting bosses to speedrun, you want to do it fast, but if you do it too fast, you're actually going to lose 3 to 4 seconds because you can't attack him anymore. So if I'm doing this, I'm like, oh no, I can't do anything. 1, 2, 3, and I say 3 to 4 because certain bosses will be out of range, and sometimes they will continue to jump or move around like right as they're getting out of an invulnerable state, or invul for short. And then you end up losing more time because you couldn't attack them and you couldn't actually cripple them. So if you end up doing a burst move, you will tumble them, and that'll leave them vulnerable for more attacks and more burst moves. Excuse me. Alright, so now that you've gotten to see a lot of the movement, we're actually going to go into a couple techniques in the first level. Let's see. It is early in the morning. Sun's not out yet. I mean, it's out, but, you know, it's not shining. Oh, my alarm almost went off. All right. So when it comes to the intro stage, you want to break a few boxes at least, because I've run into situations where I cannot heal because I run out of money within the first 3 stages, and it's super annoying. So when you're going through the stage, you're going to do a lot of jumping. You're going to be skipping a lot of enemies when you're speedrunning. I'll show you a few different tricks that you can do. So in this intro stage, you can grapple an enemy. So if you throw an enemy into another enemy, they will automatically be destroyed, with the exception of this enemy because he has a shield. But if you were to throw an enemy into another enemy, instant. And then you can grab the new enemy. So you can actually re-grab enemies up to, I think, 3 times. Depending on if they take a certain amount of damage. So this one I was able to re-grab 4 times. So these shield enemies, you can actually jump over them in between a lot of these different these ceilings. So you actually will not take any damage when you're right next to them within the shield. So you can actually jump over them. So when you get used to it, used to running, you actually will run yourself into the shield and then jump over them. So that's a little trick for some of these parts of the stages in the game, where you can just essentially clip them almost and then jump over them. So that allows you to not stop your forward momentum. The whole point of speedrunning in this particular game is to try not to stop your forward momentum and to keep your momentum going. So I'm doing a bad job of showing you guys. If you do it too close, you'll hit them like this. If you do it just enough, you'll just bounce right over them. Oh, there's a little bit of health. Nice. So 4 hits for that box. Now, when you're dive kicking enemies, you'll automatically bounce over them, like so. Sometimes if you are dive kicking too close to them, you will hit them as you dive kick over them. And also, one thing I didn't go over, when you get hit, you'll notice that you'll actually bounce backwards. So until you get until you get catch block, which is an enhancement ability that does not allow you to stop your momentum. It essentially gives you invulnerability. But every time you get hit, it's a 3.3 second time loss. Excuse me. 0.3 of a second it takes because you get a screen flash. So, there's different ways to actually do this first level. Sure. It's whatever feels comfortable for you. So this is how I started out. Here, actually, let me do this. Let me show you let me show you a full like level. Like let me actually like run through the level and I'll show you guys. I'll slow it down in a few sections and we'll go over the intro stage. So I essentially jump over these guys. I jump over him. I jump here to get this, and then I jump here. I dive kick here, and here's my thing. I jump on the box, and then I jump over the enemy rather than dive kicking the enemy. And you just keep your forward momentum going. And so I'm going to jump over here. I'm going to dive kick for forward momentum. I'm going to do 2 swings, dive kick into slide. Again, my momentum is ever so moving forward. Dive kick here, so I get momentum to jump over him like this. I'm going to dive kick here to get, you know, a little bit of platforming. So sometimes he'll shoot, sometimes he won't. So, see, I messed up. So I lost, you know, 0.3 of a second there. Dive kick over him. I'm going to dive kick over this guy. Sometimes you can not hit him. I mean, that's good. So I took damage, so I get back. Dive kick, dive kick, dive kick, attack, jump, flying strike again. That's a nice little trick. There's another way to go through that, but I like this way better. I also don't take any damage. So ideally, if I get to this part of the stage with less than 1 minute 10 seconds in, I'm decent. So here's a technique. We call this the wobble technique. So this only works when you are hitting enemies that will not essentially die on you, which is bosses. It's the best to work on this particular boss. You can do it on other bosses, but it's not worth it because they will go invulnerable. So with the wobble technique, you have rapid fire turn on because you can just hold the button and you'll just consecutively do punches. And essentially what you're going to do is you're going to swap between left and the right directional arrow. I like to play on pad. Some people like it on keyboard and mouse or just straight keyboard. What was that time? I didn't even see what the time was. Right. Also, you can see the time at the bottom of the screen when you highlight over a level. That was 1:14. So 1:14 is a solid time. If you get under 1:14 on a speedrun, that's actually pretty good. It typically means you don't get hit until the end boss and you dodged all the enemies throughout. So if I move, you can actually move while punching, but you're in your walking animation, so you can actually turn the direction. And you're still going to punch. But what ends up happening is it cancels the punching animation when you switch sides. So essentially you're doing this. But when you do it faster, you can see Kai just goes left, right, left, right, left, right. But when you're hitting an enemy, it recognizes a hit. So when it registers a hit, you can automatically turn around quicker because it will initiate a combo. And so when you actually take a hit at the end boss and you're actually doing damage, you can do this. So you're just going left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, and just back and forth. So this is how you're going to beat the boss at the end. And that's all you're doing. It takes quite a bit of time to time it. And you can actually, again, you can do this on bosses. It really only works if you're about to get hit and you recognize that you want to get a quick, like 3 or 4 hits when they're grounded. So you'll essentially go like this. It's pretty hard to do that. As you can see, that's pretty much the fastest that you can do it. As long as you see the green come out, it registers. Because if you do it too fast, sometimes it doesn't really register. Yeah. And you can't crouch, and if you end up holding up, this happens. You end up doing this. So let's go over some techniques for the intro stage. So again, you're going to skip all these enemies. You don't need them. You're going to try to break a couple boxes. Oh, here's a cool little thing. Let me restart. So if you are in the air and you do an attack, he'll do a punch. But if you hold the attack button when you're colliding with an enemy in the air, he does a follow-up combo kick. So essentially, let me show you. So you see, punch kick, punch kick. So you can do this to break boxes, and this will actually help you gain forward momentum, which will allow you not to have to make an extra jump and land in certain areas. Excuse me. This will also work here. So in the very beginning, if you make this jump here and you just punch, depending on where you jump from, you might just end up landing down here and losing, tenths of seconds down here. So instead of attacking and then landing, you'll attack and then hold the button. Your momentum will be carried forward, and then you'll actually hop the gap. So that's something that you'll notice as you're playing through stages, which is nice. So because I want to break a couple boxes early to get some monies. You just end up doing that, and then just up forward. So what I do here is I actually, instead of jumping completely over, I do a land, and then I jump and break this box. And the reason why I jump and break this box, it allows me to try to collect some monies. But also, when you are going to land and you're doing a landing animation, you can cancel into a punch attack sooner. So if I just do a punch here, I'm just doing 1, 2, 3, 4. But if I jump, punch, land, punch, I cancel into my attack. So see how much faster it actually was? So I can... So that's always nice. So essentially I land here, I jump, and then as I'm falling, I do a follow-up attack to the barrel or box, and I hold it so I can get 2. I get my initial attack, and then I get my kick attack, and then I land and I do 2 more. So that is a quicker way to actually break the boxes versus just standing. So I go like this, I go 1, 2, and then I jump again, and then 1, 2 again. So I quickly land. The quickest way to do this is to just burst. You can aim the burst in the middle of both boxes as they're standing on each other, or one on top of the other, and it'll break both at the same time. So essentially you can do like this and do both of them. But I save my second burst for later. I'll go over this with advanced techniques, but you can actually jump cancel out of a lot of burst attacks. So I can do a burst and then jump immediately after to gain an extra jump that you wouldn't normally have. So that's how I do some techniques later. So we're just gonna, you're gonna get comfortable with the stage. You're gonna jump. Also, the longer you hold the jump button, the higher you go. So do that. Try to jump. If you hit that enemy, oh well. I do this, and then I do 1, 2, 1, 2, and then I dive kick over on this enemy. So there's a couple ways you can do it. So a lot of people, what they do is they'll like dive kick over this. They'll dive kick on boxes because you get a bounce. Or you can dive kick on projectiles that they throw too. You dive kick, and then they dive kick again, and then they dive kick again. In my opinion, it's slower. Another thing that you can also do if you have really great timing and momentum is you can actually grapple here, or actually you'll grapple diagonal, and you'll just swing right through. In my opinion, that's not consistent, so I don't do it. Also, you probably noticed that I was able to grab the health underneath the platform. You can actually up kick through platforms to grab health and pickups. So, see, I end up getting 35 currency there. Sometimes it doesn't work, so you have to do an extra jump. So I like to dive kick. Oops, so people do this. Oops. Sorry, I messed that up. Because I don't do what other people do, I'm not used to doing it. They'll dive kick, and then they'll dive kick, and then they'll dive kick, and then they'll dive kick, and they'll swing. So you're going to end up skipping all this. So here's something else too. So a lot of us haven't like taken a timer and really like max this out. But we debate on this. So forward momentum on a swing. The lower you are, the more momentum you'll get on a swing, because if you're like higher, you won't really swing as far or as fast. So the lower you are, the faster you go. So what I like to do half the time is I'll swing until I'm level, and then I'll let go and I'll swing again. You can actually jump out of swings, but you end up gaining momentum, so it doesn't really work. So some people like to do a full swing. I don't know if that's actually faster. I think it's about the same, because you could do a full swing like this, or what I do is I go halfway. I go like this. And that's pretty much what I do. Save the checkpoint here. You're going to continue. This is just empty space. Some people can just jump like this. So there's different ways to do this spot, right? So you can do one, and you can actually dive kick off this barrel, and then you'll land up here. Some people like to do 2, so it's whatever you're comfortable with. Ideally, it's going to be roughly the same amount of time. I do 2 full swings, and then in my momentum that I carry myself in the air, I do a dive kick. And as soon as you land on the dive kick, you actually continue to move forward. One thing that we don't actually know if is faster or not, which we don't think it is, if you dive kick, the animation is slightly slowed down as you're about to do the kick. And we don't think it actually gives you any more faster momentum speed if you're actually dive kicking. Some people like to fast fall, and by the way, you're not going to be able to go back into a sliding crevice. like this. You can't go back up there. You can't. It's not like you can do Metroid. You just turn into a morph ball and you roll into it. So, excuse me. Some people, like myself, typically will fall down. Some people will actually dive kick down. I think this is probably the perfect amount of height to dive kick and not like be slower than just fast falling. Fast falling meaning you're just falling. Because yeah, see. And this is a little bit quicker to dive kick. When you dive kick, you actually slide here. Sometimes what happens if you actually just fall naturally, you'll try to go to the left and then you'll end up clipping a wall like this. And you slide down. But if you dive kick downward, you actually will not go anywhere else unless you jump out of it. Also, you can dive kick towards walls. Another thing I didn't really go over is you can jump out of dive kicks. So you can actually do that, you know, only once. But when you have function overload later, you can actually do it multiple times. Oh, I got more health. Nice. So, you know, slide here. Some people like to swing. Some people like to do this. And they'll just grab the side and then, well, you end up grabbing this. And then you just kind of slowly edge your way. I don't like to do that because I like more consistency. And then also I like to try to do the fastest thing possible. So the fastest thing possible is to actually dive kick over the enemy, this enemy, and then you land here. And then when you land, you can actually just short hop over this enemy. Yeah, it's like a mid short hop. If you do a regular short hop, you do this, but you have to do like a medium jump. And you can jump right over him through this crevice, just like you did with the shield enemy in the middle. So essentially jump over, full dive kick, jump over. Sometimes you'll slide. If you wanted to just do a safety strat, just jump over him at maximum height and then just clip this wall and then just slide down. That works too. So again, you want to do what you're comfortable with and what works consistently for you. And then as you get better, you can decide if you want to do more advanced techniques. So sometimes this will happen if you go too early. And then you just... Some people like to do 2 jumps. What you can also do is you can grapple up a wall. Some people like to grapple up the wall and jump over. It just, again, depends on what you're comfortable with. Some people like to grab this because you get, what's that, 104, give or take? It's not the same every time. So some people want to make sure they get some monies. So if this guy doesn't shoot, which is nice, you can actually just jump over like this. But it happens so fast that you have to react as you're going up. Because if you jump right here, sometimes he'll shoot, sometimes he won't. I can't consistently get him not to shoot. You can actually jump left, and then go right, and I don't think he shoots if he does that. Because I think it's right here. Once you're like up here, then he shoots like that. So some people like to go like this, break the wall. And what I do is I'll jump before the spike ends up coming up. If I see that he swings, or sorry, when I see that he shoots, I jump, grapple. I grapple upwards, and then I hop over the projectiles, which he shoots 3. So essentially it'll look like this. But, you know, when you're doing it faster, essentially jump up and then jump over those. It'll look something like this. And then you just jump and then jump again. So right here, 44 seconds is good. If you get under 44 seconds, that's solid, which half the time you're going to get, like, once you get advanced, you might get 0.2 of a second, 0.4 of a second, but those tenths of a second matter at the very end of the game. So here, you can actually jump from where this, like right in front of this pole in the gap, you can jump forward from here and then dive kick in the air, and then you'll dive kick completely over him or her. You know, dive kick over it. Sometimes if you're farther back, you'll dive kick on the enemy. Sometimes you'll take damage in doing so. So if I do it too early, if I do it at the light post, like this will happen. So I'm not taking any damage. I'm hopping over him. But you notice as soon as you hit him, there's a small momentum in time. Here, let me just heal up. And then, see, it's like a quick pause. quick pause, and then you hop over. So instead, you just jump right here, hold for maximum height on a jump, and then just hop right over. So you can do this for all the enemies in this section right here. So you essentially will jump over, jump. Now, if you're planning on it, you can jump and then, you know, break these boxes to get a little bit of currency. This one's a little tough because if you end up holding, you end up falling down this pit. You're not going to have to worry about this enemy. So this guy right here, I'm going to end up dying, so let me just restart. So this enemy here, you can also completely jump over him, but the majority of the time you're not going to. You're either going to dive kick, you're going to either bounce off of him and you know, have him drop a shield, or you're going to hit him on a dive kick, and then you're going to take damage. And you're still going to hop a little bit, but you're going to take damage, so you're going to go backwards, and then you lose a second. So where you essentially will want to jump is right at the hood of this car. Right here. This is a good sweet spot. You can also do it right here. You can actually do it where the light post is. And this will happen. You can do it where the car window is. This may happen, but see, you have to get forward momentum. And, well, you could also grab projectiles and throw them back. So, sometimes at the windshield or the window, you'll be able to make it. A lot of visual cues will help you as you're speedrunning because you'll pick your spots and decide where you want to jump, where you want to grapple, where you're going to react to. So a lot of that is key. So typically it's going to be right here. And essentially that's going to happen. So you'll end up doing this and bouncing completely over. Or if you do it good enough, which I don't know if I'll be able to get right here, you'll actually go completely over him. Like this. So I didn't go completely over. What ends up happening, and you'll have to react to it, when you go completely over, one of two things will happen. You're either going to land right here on this edge, which you can just completely run off and not go into the gap. Right? You'll just run off to the next platform. Or you'll end up being in the air right here because you completely dive kicked and then carried yourself all the way over to the gap. And you'll have to either do one of two follow-up things. You can do an additional dive kick, because you can do infinite dive kicks as long as you've dive kicked on a collision item, meaning a box or an enemy or a projectile. That's not like plasma or something. And then you'll dive kick again to land, or you'll end up getting height and you'll dive kick on the box, and then you'll want to dive kick over this enemy. And sometimes this will happen, right? You're like, oh, I can't do anything. Actually, you actually can grapple your way over all edges and corners. So it just takes, again, practice and timing. You'll hear me say that a lot. So when you get good enough, you'll time it like just right. Oh, that was barely off. So I'm going to do it again. I'm going to have to cut and paste just to get this right. Like this, see? And then you walk down. So, oh, I did not know enemies will break the crates for you. I've never noticed that. So here what will happen is you can jump and then jump again. That guy will reach you. But you'll have enough forward momentum where if you jump and land right at the foot of this platform, you can jump here and then short hop over this enemy and then do a full dive kick hop over here. So you're not going to be able to really gain momentum in this, because usually he'll end up attacking and he'll hit you before you get to actually jump. So you can do a full jump over here, but ideally as soon as you hop here and then hop here, you jump and then dive kick over this enemy. All right, so you're going to do that 3 times. So you're essentially jumping, dive kick over, you'll bounce, and then you'll jump, 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 dive kick. And then this gap is too big, so you'll have to actually jump over again. So what some people like to do is they go jump, jump, dive kick, or they just jump completely over. I don't do that. You do 2 more dive kicks. It's more safe that way too. So past the pole, jump, dive kick. In front where the hood is, jump, dive kick. Jump, jump. Dive kick here, dive kick over. Dive kick the box, dive kick over. So I don't know if you noticed that before I actually, excuse me, before I actually jumped over this enemy, I stopped my momentum where the spike was. You don't have to. If you do it right, you can watch this. You do jump, sort hop, jump, dive kick. And then you dive kick again. Cool? Following along so far? You'll be able to do this in 5 minutes, guaranteed it. Alright, so the next part of this level is breaking these crates efficiently and as quickly as you can. So a lot of us in the speedrunning community for this game have kind of toggled the idea of what's going to work best. And again, depending on your style and your consistency, you're going to decide what you're going to want to do. So there's a few ways to do it, and you always want to have a backup strat in mind if certain tricks don't work. So if you get this right, you can hit the enemy once, because it takes 2 hits to stun them. So you can do 1 hit and then a second hook shot to grapple. If you're standing next to the box, you can release the grapple. It'll throw the enemy at the box. The box will break. You're holding forward, so that way you're going under the box. The top box will collapse and land on top of you. You'll take damage, but if you do it fast enough, you're going to throw the enemy. It's going to break the box. You're going to slide, because this next part you have to slide. And sometimes you'll take damage, but you actually will not lose your momentum backwards, because you're in a sliding animation, or about to be. You'll take the damage and you'll just continue to move forward. Or what will happen is the box that's coming to land on you will actually push you forward, because you're so far forward in the collision that you'll take damage in your hurt box area. You end up going forward instead of backward, because you're so far forward that the box can't push you back, because it's still landing on top of you.
What the hell did you just say?
So it'll look like this. Whoop. The enemy will come back.
A few moments later.
Alright, there we go. We finally did it. So, I messed up earlier. So you actually have to be next to the box. You can't be behind it, because I forgot. When you throw an enemy, you actually have a slight jumping arc. Kai comes off the ground when you throw an enemy. So you could be standing on the ground. As soon as you throw the enemy, he jumps up. So you have to be standing next to the box to collide with it. Otherwise that trick won't work. So you see how I was able to be pushed forward towards the wall and then I bounced back? That's essentially when you're going to slide. As soon as you break the box, and you're not going to be able to react to it. You just have to do it. And you either are going to do it right or you're going to do it wrong.
What the hell is even that?
So that's essentially how it's going to work there. So jump, 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 high jump, jump, dive kick. Oh, if that happens, great. You just keep going. You don't want to stop your forward momentum. Dive kick, jump here, dive kick, punch, punch, throw it. And as you see, you know, I did it, but I didn't slide. Jump here, dive kick, punch, punch, slide. So you saw how I was in the sliding animation and I didn't go backwards because the box was just hitting me. So you just slide underneath and then you can either land. Some people like to land. You just land and jump over the enemy right after, or you can slide. Or I'm sorry, not slide. You can grapple swing. Yep, that's it. And then you can land here and then jump over this enemy, or as you're about to fall, you just swing like this. And if you're actually low on health for some reason, you can slide, and as you're sliding out of this, you can actually up kick out of the slide, up kick, and then land to pick up the health. So I'll show you as I'm practicing my actual strategy. So this is what I do. I need 2 flying strikes. So you want to try not to recover and use your repair kit unless you really need to. So you're going to A, do it because you're running low on health, or B, you're going to do it because you need more energy, or a combination of the two. Typically, you're not going to do it any other time. So throughout this whole stage, you're actually not going to use it unless you have a strategy where you want to, but the strategy is not fast enough. So it's going to take, it takes about, 0.8 of a second, give or take, to land on it and then repair. But sometimes it doesn't go fast enough. So you'll land. See, there's like a split second where it didn't do anything. Sometimes you'll land and then it just takes longer to repair. Sometimes you'll land and then it immediately goes up. Also, one thing, the more you repair on the same level before you actually exit, the repair cost goes up by 25 every time. And there's a max. I don't remember what the max is. Jump, 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 dive kick, dive kick, dive kick again, jump, dive kick. So essentially what I do here is I will burst the enemy, because when you kill this enemy, The enemy will always go in the direction opposite, or the direction you're facing, essentially, or it's going to go the opposite direction it's looking. So if you attack this enemy, it's going to bounce over here, and a enemy that is dizzy is not the right word. An enemy that's tumbling, right? If it hits one of these boxes, it will break it. And what will happen is if you get it closer to the middle, it'll break both of these boxes. So what I do is I come up here, I will flying strike, which will essentially pretend I've already hit the enemy. It'll break these boxes. And then you can jump cancel out of flying strike. And then what I do is I jump cancel out of flying strike. I hit this box. And then I do flying strike again to break this third box. The reason why I jump cancel to break this box with a punch is because if I do flying strike, it will hit the box instead of the crate. So it's... I jump up here, I dive kick, cancel to land up here, from here. So I jump, get out of here. Jump, dive kick, cancel. I flying strike, hit the enemy, jump cancel, punch the box, jump cancel again. Well, you don't really have to jump cancel because you're already in the air. I jump cancel, break the box, flying strike again. It breaks the additional third crate. I jump cancel out of that to land quicker, and then I slide, and then you saw right there, that's how you can grab the health if you need it without losing momentum. So now let me do this all in one go. So we're almost done showing you this level. This is pretty much the last trick to show you. Jump, jump, dive kick, and then I'll do a full one so you can see it. Oh, I forgot to repair. So that's the part you have to remember when you're actually practicing, is you have to repair, and then hopefully you have enough money to do it. Pro tip: if you beat the game and replay these levels, you will have unlimited repairs. It doesn't cost you any money. It's free. So jump cancel, and then I essentially do that. But I do it faster. I wanted to slow it down so you can see it. So here, you saw it in the beginning when I did the full level. We'll do it again. See it in full motion. That'll happen a lot. You're not losing momentum that way. You just slow down half a second. Oops. I messed that up. Jump cancel punch, flying strike again, and then jump cancel out of that. I mean, you don't always have to. I like to. It might be the same amount of time jump canceling out of that to land. Otherwise, you're just waiting for yourself to land. It's just, again, a matter of preference. No, we don't time it because it's hard to kind of do that. But I mean, it's not hard. It's just time consuming. So here you can also, yeah, do that. Nope, I didn't hold my momentum forward enough. So if you're too far left, that'll happen. You're too far away from the box. And you have to hold forward, otherwise it doesn't work. You don't have to pick that up, and then you just grapple yourself over here. 5 good grapples, sometimes 6. And then you just run your way over here. Excuse me. So this is going to be where you're going to do the wobble. So what I like to do is I actually like to jump into the enemy, because if you end up going like this and you don't do it right, your punch is not going to come out when you land, or I'm sorry, when you're out grounded. So you just kind of walk, and then you might miss a punch there. As you can see, it does 2 damage. So you just the first like 20 hours I played this game, I didn't know that he could fly like that, which I thought was hilarious. So checkpoint already here. It cost me 400 to repair. Looks like that's the max, 400. So again, we're going to hold the punch button because we have rapid fire turn on. We're just going to go left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, while standing. Not crouching, not jumping. So you just hold it. So you can. This will happen if you just hold it. 1, 2, 1, 2. But to do it faster, left, right, left, right. So you have to do it faster because this happened. Oh, I didn't want to beat him. I wanted to restart to show you. But yeah, it's just, you saw how it was not transitioning left, right because I was not doing it fast enough. Essentially, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, LR, 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 da 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 da. It's just like this on the D-pad. All right, and that is the intro stage. And again, I'm gonna do one full run. Excuse me, with the techniques, and I'll show you. And of course, if you guys have any questions about anything, or have some extra ideas, definitely put them down in the chat comments. because we would love to get extra insight. And definitely I'll put a I don't know if a Discord link will actually stay, but I'll put the name of our speedrunning Discord so you guys can join, because it's a great Discord. All right. Excuse me. Sometimes I forget to break the boxes, but it's okay. See, some people like to do this. I don't, so I messed up there because I'm too busy talking versus playing. I'm going to redo it. Jump. Jump over, jump over, jump over. Jump over. Get close, jump over him. Break box. So I have to do one more attack because I didn't hit the top box. I land, I jump on the very edge, swing 6 times, sometimes 5 depending on momentum. Anything under 19 seconds is good with me as I pass that checkpoint. Dive kick over him, jump, swing twice, dive kick, slide, dive kick down, cancel out of it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Dive kick, jump over him. Nope, missed it. So, you know, lost, you know, a little less than half a second. 3 jumps, 1, 2, 3, dive kick, jump cancel. I didn't go into very specific, so here's, see, that's what it looks like. 45.5 seconds. Lost a second there. Not great, but we'll deal with it. Got it. Nope, didn't get it. Nope, messed that up. So dive kick over, jump, dive kick. I jump canceled there. You probably saw. I like to swing there. Dive kick for that extra little gap there. I'm not worried about health because if I do this good, I'll get hit only twice. The initial jump in and then one more time. I jump that and then you just left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right. So that second round, you saw the health go down quicker. That's one of the best ways to do it. And then 115 is okay. Anything in the 114 range is really good. Anything under 114 is superbly good. And that's it. That's the intro stage. And of course, again, you'll recap your time here. Speedster, peaceful, perfect. Yeah, you can take up to, I think, 10 or 12 points of damage to get 1,000 on the currency there. Alright everybody, that is the first video for the speedrun tutorial of Gravity Rush. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned a lot. There's a lot of cool tricks. Again, mix and match, do what feels comfortable. Slowly, gradually build your time up, or I guess in this case, down. And then do what's comfortable. And eventually you will get better and you will be able to do the more advanced techniques to a point where your skills are just gonna evolve. So let me know in the comments what you thought of this video. Give me a like, shoot me a subscribe for more. You're gonna see more videos. Next, we're gonna go into the individual stages, and then I'll do a separate video on specific advanced techniques throughout the whole game. And we'll do other advanced techniques for bosses. There's gonna be one main technique you're gonna use for the majority of the bosses, but there's also some backup plans that you're gonna do. And then we'll go over some of the burst techniques that you're gonna use, and the majority of them you're not gonna use. Alrighty everyone, I hope to see you on the next video. Until next time, peace.